Colorado is losing half of its best early warning system against COVID-19. Scratch that. Colorado's largest COVID-19 testing center isn't being cut after all. The inside story of how we went from calm to crisis and back in 24 hours. Some Americans are angry with Aurora over the death of Elijah McClain. And you know who's ultimately in charge there? It's not the police chief, not the mayor, it's these people, who, with all due respect, you've probably never heard of. The violin emerges as an instrument of protest. And grab $5. Our Word of Thanks campaign continues with help for moms. Next. Colorado's single largest defense against the spread of COVID-19 is not going to get scaled down drastically after all. So yesterday, Denver says a test kit shortage would cut the Pepsi Center testing site in half. And then today, well, in comes the governor, lo and behold, with 10,000 of those kits so the state's largest testing center can stay at capacity. It got me wondering, why didn't this just happen yesterday, before all of the public drama and the headlines? Was it miscommunication? Was it grandstanding? Let's dig in. The Pepsi Center testing site does 2,000 COVID-19 tests a day. They use those self-administered nasal swabs, not that brain tickler where somebody else has to shove a swab halfway to your hairline. LabCorp, the maker of that test, is running out of them because so many other states are up excrement creek with coronavirus surges. So Denver announces that it has to slash its daily testing rate in half at that spot. And it's coming right at the time when we need to know if Colorado is also seeing a surge. But wait, there's more. When they announced a gift of 10,000 test kits from the governor today, I was wondering if perhaps this is like one of those holiday turkey drives, you know, where they claim like they aren't getting any turkeys and people are going to go hungry, and then all of a sudden up pulls a business with a trailer truck full of turkeys for a nice little photo op. I am told by the city that that's not what happened with the governor and the test. They said that they were simply unaware that the state had 10,000 of those nice nasal swab type tests. The city says it notified the governor's office of the planned cutbacks yesterday, and that today they got enough tests from the state's reserve in order to run at capacity for another 10 days. The hope is that the national supply is going to catch up after that. One other aspect of this that's worth discussing. I apologize, I have come undone here. So we have learned that Denver and the state have been in discussions now 4 weeks talking about how to set up a funding protocol for this site, how they would be able to keep it running when the federal money, which is funding this site, runs out. Governor's office says they hope to be able to do this by the end of the month. I apologize. We're having real difficulties here tonight. The amount of tests processed by the state ticked back up yesterday, sitting around 7,000 total. Hospitalizations statewide went up a bit. They kind of bottomed out around 130 to 140 after a steady fall in hospitalization numbers for weeks. Aurora's protesters have got our attention. Now, police, they have the weapons, and City Council has the real power in Aurora, the power to approve a new police chief to decide what police reform is going to look like in that city. Our Mark Salinger found city leaders divided on the way forward.
The scenes of Aurora on Saturday night won't soon be forgotten. But depending on who you ask, you'll get a different answer on whether police used the proper amount of force to clear people from the protest intended to demand justice for Elijah McClain. Police declared the protest an unlawful assembly and warned people to disperse before moving in with pepper spray and batons.
My concern is, are we getting to a point where, police give lawful orders and no one abides by them?
The only time that I felt unsafe was when unexpectedly riot officers show up.
There were folks that were actively trying to break through the barrier in front of the police station, and they needed to be dealt with.
We have to take a very hard look at what it means to promote public safety.
I spoke with 5 of the 11 members of Aurora City Council today. Last night, they took part in a special council meeting called to hear from Aurora Police about its use of force. Soon, the Aurora City manager will present his choice for the new chief of police out of 4 finalists, including the interim chief. It'll be up to council to approve them. Council is divided. Do you support Interim Chief Wilson to be the permanent chief?
I am really unhappy with the answers I got yesterday.
I think she has done a good job.
I think she's made a lot of progress, and I think she's I think she's on the right path.
Chief Wilson did paint a picture of change, and I appreciate that. But in light of this event, I am having to reevaluate who I'm going to support for that position.
And those council members that I spoke with say they hope to have a better idea on who will be the next police chief. Not to appoint an independent investigator to investigate the Elijah McClain case, knowing now, Kyle, that the governor has also appointed one.
All right. Mark Salinger reporting. Thank you very much, Marshall. Or Marshall, apologies. Apologies, Mark. Having a tough time here today. Things will get better or they'll get worse. You'll want to see it either way. Trust me. So despite what we have heard a president say, Coloradans know that voting by mail is successful and it is safe. 1.5 million Coloradans did it just last night for the primary. A record 45% turnout, fueled by unaffiliated voters who now don't have to be part of a party in order to get down on primary night. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger digs into other numbers that show us how and where Colorado's crucial Senate race will be decided.
Since we're lacking sports, we'll have to do with this. November 3rd, it's a Senate race between two undefeateds. Republican Senator Cory Gardner, 5-0, appointed to the State House, elected at the ballot twice, followed by 2 congressional wins and a Senate term in 2014. His challenger, Democrat John Hickenlooper, 4-0-1. 2 wins for Denver mayor, 2 gubernatorial wins, and that no decision while running for president. Gardner versus Hickenlooper for the U.S. Senate. Okay, when Gardner beat then-Senator Mark Udall in 2014, here's what the statewide map looked like. The red-colored counties are the ones Gardner won handily. Blue represent Udall strongholds. The red and purple stripes show close results that favored Gardner. Blue and purple favored Udall. And 3 counties, Jefferson, Larimer, and Pueblo, were neck and neck. That same year, Hickenlooper won re-election as governor. Watch the purple in Jefferson, Larimer, and Pueblo. Areas where Gardner was close, Hickenlooper did much better. But that was 2014, before President Trump.
It is a much bigger weight on his chances. It's a headwind for him. The president is not, by any means, a positive for Cory Gardner. He is a negative, especially these last couple of weeks. And anybody that denies that has their head in the sand.
David Flaherty runs Magellan Strategies, a conservative polling firm based in Louisville. He knows data, which is why I showed him another map comparison I made. On the left, the 2014 Gardner map, pre-President Trump. On the right, the 2018 statewide election between Jared Polis and Walker Stapleton for governor, post-President Trump. In 14 counties, Polis, the Democrat, shifted support either fully blue or closer to blue.
Granted, Walker Stapleton also faced the headwinds of perhaps Donald Trump not being popular in our state in 2018. With all due respect to Walker Stapleton and his team, I would not even compare that effort to what I anticipate to be a much of a better, stronger effort from Cory Gardner. And the candidate matters, with all due respect.
For Next, I'm Marshall Zellinger.
So today, America woke up to learn about Lauren Boebert. Now, Next viewers already knew about that woman who had defeated Republican Congressman Scott Tipton in last night's GOP primary. Boebert could not name much of anything that she disagreed with Tipton on when she appeared on Next last year. We invited her back today, but she's big time now. She's doing Hannity tonight, so we're going to have to wait, and that's fine. Here's a sample from our first sit-down with Boebert. Your campaign announcement didn't mention Congressman Tipton by name. It did spend quite a bit of time and space attacking Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. You running against her or you running against Scott Tipton?
I'm absolutely running against her. So there is a social narrative that is taking over our country. There's a battle for the heart and soul of our country right now. And I am ready to be the one that steps up for conservative values and takes on AOC.
I'm getting there, folks. Give me time today. At the time that we spoke with Boebert, she had not yet made her comments in support of QAnon. That, of course, being the conspiracy theory that, among other things, believes that Democrats and Hollywood celebrities drink the blood of children who are imprisoned in a global pedophilia cabal. So we have plenty to discuss with Boebert when she returns to our program and when we talk with the Democratic candidate nominated last night in Colorado 3rd, Diane Mitz-Bush. She ran and lost in 2018. Our full interview with Lauren Boebert is on the next YouTube channel. All right, it's Wednesday. It is time to do something good together that we will feel great about all week long. Next viewers have raised nearly $190,000 in 4 weeks' time in our Word of Thanks campaign. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to do this week. It's July 1st, you know. Rent is due today for a lot of families, including for some first-time moms who are just trying to get by with their rent payments and buy groceries and diapers and such. So I'll tell you, the word of thanks that comes to mind when I think of the Nurse Family Partnership Family Fund, that word is anything. Anything these 1,000 first-time mothers across Colorado need, day or night, they can call their dedicated nurse at the Nurse Family Partnership. A personal nurse who's side by side helping vulnerable first-time moms through pregnancy and the first 2 years. This is a really strong nonprofit. But when that call to the nurse asks for help with rent to avoid an eviction this month, or a little money for diapers or groceries or an unexpected car repair, that is where the Family Support Fund comes in. And that is where we come in. Every penny of our donation is going to go to the Family Support Fund and then out to those moms. Nothing to overhead. So it's $5 to keep a first-time mother from being sent back by an eviction or a car repair or not being able to afford diapers this week. And you know that I will never just ask you to put your money where my mouth is. So if you're in for $5, I will match the first 50 of those donations from next viewers. Text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to donate. 303-871-1491. We'll shoot you the link to donate. We have a chance here together this week to keep these first-time moms and their babies safe and supported so they can stay right on track. I'm excited to see what we're going to do. A protest anthem without words emerges in Aurora and spreads across America. Now that the state Supreme Court has ruled against the governor on signature gathering, can he expect more challenges to his executive powers?
Do you feel any responsibility for the young people that have turned violent?
And some love for the guy who exposed the hate in our state. Next. Democratic Governor Jared Polis's first loss as he has tried to expand his powers during the pandemic came today as the state Supreme Court told him that he is not allowed to expand ballot petition signature gathering to online and by mail. So got to do it face to face, just like old times with the respiratory droplets and all. The business group that sued the governor over this is not looking to chip away at his other emergency powers.
To be quite candid, in fact, we've been quite complimentary in general of much of the way that the governor has handled the pandemic response here in the state of Colorado. Now, emphatically, this is the one area it touched so clearly in our minds upon the Constitution. And if we have sort of a Wild West approach to getting ballot issues onto the Constitution, we're going to compound our public policy problems here in the state.
Group's lawyers say they don't think that the narrow court order today impacts many of the governor's other decisions. Governor's reaction was that he thinks that this is going to make the signature gathering less safe, but he said, you know, it makes his job easier if there are fewer of those ballot issues. Want to give a shout out tonight to my 9 Wants to Know colleague, Jeremy Holy. You've seen his reporting here as he has dedicated himself to reporting on our state's extremist groups like neo-Nazis and Proud Boys. And you should know that Ho did this despite the fact that he was facing threats and intimidation, including some characters that showed up at his house when it was just his wife and his baby there. I bring this up today because more of what he went through is now public, because Jeremy is one of 4 reporters nationwide to receive a special honor that goes to journalists who show courage in the face of intimidation and attempts to suppress the truth. That is our Jeremy Hohola. Proud to call him a colleague and a friend, and something to keep in mind next time you see him standing up to those folks in our community.
It was for me the most powerful moment that I've ever experienced in music.
A show-stopping solo as riot police moved on the audience. The violin emerges as the sound of the protest against police brutality. Next. More and more Americans know about Elijah McClain. They know how he died in Aurora. They know how he lived, playing his violin for animals so that they would not feel lonely. Violin vigils for Elijah McClain have been held from here to New York City.
You know, one of the things I like most about the violin is the fact that it's the instrument that's closest to the human voice. And I feel like it really resonates with other people when you play, and it literally speaks to them without having to say a word. Playing for Elijah's memorial really ranks high for me on the power of music and a live performance that I was a part of. When I woke up that day, I was just looking forward to being a part of his legacy and looking forward to trying to let his spirit speak through me. Police! Police! So I backed in, started setting up the PA, and all of a sudden you hear kind of the people screaming and tear gas starting, you see the smoke coming. I think it could have been a bad situation without music there. It stopped this kind of a war between the people and the police, and it kind of unified everyone, and it gave energy to the crowd. I've never seen music exert this kind of power, and so I really, truly understand now the power of music more than I ever have before, even though I'm a musician. Violin is much more powerful than anything that I could have ever said, but yet I was still speaking. And so for that voice to carry through like that was really profound. It was really powerful for me, and it was very effective. And yeah, the violin is the closest instrument to the human voice, and it spoke loudly that day in honor of Elijah.
Story through the lens of our photojournalist, Austin Knox. Check in on that little group project of ours and some feedback next. Hey, reminder, you can text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to get in on this week's Word of Thanks group project. We're supporting the Nurse Family Partnership Family Support Fund. This is a program for 1,000 first-time moms who don't have a lot of resources. The program provides nurses who are on call for more than 2 years for these moms. And the fund that we're helping out with tonight, that helps those moms make rent to avoid eviction or to afford diapers or maybe deal with a car repair. Same deal as every week. If you're in for $5, I will match the first 50 of those donations. A couple of questions and feedback about that tonight. Lee and Aurora want to know, are you matching the first 50, the first $55 donations? Want to be clear about that. I'm asking you for $5 and I'm putting up $250 every week. Hope we are clear about that. You give $5, I give $250. Tom McHenry says, thanks for the awesome nonprofits and for keeping us out of Excrement Creek. Not sure we did that today. See you next time.